Hi, happy Tuesday. It's Corey here with Inside8.com, and I want to talk to you about values work. Values work is really a process of digging into what's important to you, what motivates you, and really what's core, like at the core of what you value. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in like thinking that everybody sort of values similar things. Like we see our friends, we see our family, we realize maybe they have different viewpoints, but maybe we forget that what's at the core of what's motivating them, or what's the core of their values may be significantly different than, what motivates you. So, the process of values work is really digging into your personal motivations, your inner values that, if you live those values, are going to find a little more fulfillment in your life, or probably a lot more fulfillment in your life. But it's an active process. It takes work to dig into your values, and takes time to really dig in there and see what is underneath, what's motivating you, what's driving you, what makes you feel whole and fulfilled. I think a core component of finding fulfillment in life is being able to weave those values into your daily life, your daily routine. Finding activities, finding things that really motivate you. And at Inside8, sometimes we talk about relationships, sometimes we talk about careers. Really, we talk about life in general. And if you see a job as a place where you just go, you toil away each day, you collect a paycheck, and that's all that it is. Or maybe you see it as a place where you find fulfillment, and you find self-actualization, and you go there and you add value to the world. Maybe you're stuck somewhere in between those two places, and you're not sure what you want from a career. I think an important part of values work is looking at what you value, what's going to be fulfilling for you, and being able to leverage those things to find the most fulfilling path. And whether that means finding a career where you live out all those values, or weaving in those values in a small way, into the career you already have, or into the relationships you already have, or into, fill in the blank of the life that you live. I can kind of share a personal example of that. Some people, they grow up kind of knowing what they want to do and who they want to be, and they have their mindset on a certain goal, and they live that. I want to be a doctor from the time I'm a young age, or whatever it is. I was never that person. My prospective career choices ranged from orthodontist to author to, I don't even know the things that I wanted to be. Lawyer, maybe. And when a physical therapist. When I was looking at colleges, I was originally looking at kinesiology programs. But in the week before my undergraduate career, I changed my major to psychology. I knew I wanted to do something with athletics, and the mental side of sports was always, interesting to me. So I started studying psychology. And I coached. I thought that was really, kind of a calling for me. And kind of didn't think I was going to be a counselor, didn't see that as a path for me. I just thought, I'll just work with athletes. I'll just, do sports psych, and kind of essentially coach the mental side of sports, or coach sports, whatever that means. And it wasn't until really in graduate school where I started to kind of focus on what my values are, aside from just sports and competition. When I look at my Inside8.com test results from the Primal Personality Assessment, one of the main pieces of my profile as a nourisher is valuing social harmony. And so I think that played out, when I was on teams and wanted to bring teams together as a coach. But, I look at it in how it shaped my career now of becoming a counselor and a therapist. being drawn to helping people, align their social interactions with other people and helping with that. And also being really drawn to group therapy, which, some people are scared of. But group therapy, Yalom has a great quote that it's an unnatural place for natural things to happen. It's a place for people to connect on this really deep level where you might not get that on a day-to-day basis. So personally, I had to do a lot of work looking at my values and looking at what is important to me to be able to weave in these things into my daily career, because there's a lot of things that you can do with a degree in psychology. But I think, and you talk to some of my peers and they would choose entirely different paths because of what they value. And so I think when you get down to doing values work, it takes time and effort, and it also takes some tools. So for me, it was using the test at Insight8.com. It was speaking with supervisors. It was speaking with friends and family and figuring out, okay, what do I love? What I'm passionate about? What do I find interesting? Being willing to try different things and see, like, okay, how do I feel about this? Like, for example, teaching. I really thought I would enjoy teaching, and then don't really love it. So I think it's like the flexibility to be willing to try things and to be willing to abandon them if they don't fit, or explore them more if they seem like they might. I was listening to Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown. I talk about her a lot. I think she talks a lot about vulnerability and guilt and shame and strength and courage. And she was talking about her book, Daring Greatly. And she said something along the lines that she used to live her life based on the quote, what would you do if you couldn't fail? And I think, through living her life, through kind of exploring vulnerability, it became more of a guiding principle. What would you do even if you did fail? And I think that really speaks to values and what motivates you and what's important to you, because what would you do? What would fulfill you even if you weren't successful at it? Even if you had the risk of failing or the maybe you even know you'll fail, but what makes you, would fulfill you anyway, even if you weren't successful at it, what the process of doing it would be fulfilling to you. Okay, that's what I've got for you today. I feel like I've been talking for a while. I think that the most important piece, the biggest takeaway, I think, from doing values work is you can't do it on your own. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. You can do pieces of it on your own. You can self-reflect. You can journal. You can take this test. You can do all those things. But you have to interact with those results. They don't mean anything, just words on a page. You have to, take them and process them with other people and interact with them. And, I think that's the important piece of values work is interacting with what you value and sort of honing in on it for yourself. And so feel free to use me as a resource and reach out. I love to talk about values. I love to talk about your results and use Insight8. There's great blogs. Mars had some really great ones. Julie's back. We've just had some incredible things in the past few weeks and months, and in the past year or so we've been at this, sharing values with the world. So interact with your results, interact with me, let me know what you want me to talk about, and how I can help you find your values.